John Courteau. I'm standing here near the grave of my grandfather, World War II veteran Corporal Douglas Berwick. At age 18, he enlisted in the Marines and bravely fought in the South Pacific. Like many of the men whose stories are buried here, he was one of that great generation, just one of the 15 million men and women who risked all to preserve our freedom. It was a long, hard struggle, but these valiant soldiers would be rewarded for their service. Soon after the war started, Congress began planning for the needs of a post-war America. Widespread unemployment and recession was feared as the troops returned home in staggering numbers. The American Legion was asked to help, and 60 years ago, on June 22, 1944, Roosevelt signed the most effective piece of legislation in American history, the Servicemen's Readjustment Act, also known as the GI Bill of Rights. The bill allowed veterans a series of benefits that included education and training, loans for homes, farms, and businesses, unemployment pay, job-finding assistance, funding for the VA hospitals, and military review of any dishonorable discharges. It worked. Instead of saturating the job market, GIs flooded into colleges, universities, and vocational schools. University presidents were skeptical, though. They wrongly thought that these new students would lower the standards of their great institutions. The opposite was true. These mature and motivated scholars raised the bar and set new standards. The GI Bill improved the lives of millions of vets. Like my grandfather, it gave men and women opportunities they never could dream of. Join me and some World War II veterans to explore and celebrate the 60th anniversary of the GI Bill.
Gerald M. Gould Cajun.
Now, what branch of the military did you serve in?
The Army.
What was your rank when you were in the Army?
I was a PFC and then I became a corporal.
Where did you serve?
In Europe.
Yeah. What was life like for you before the war?
Well, before the war, I worked driving taxi cab in Boston, and I also went to school nights to New England Aircraft to learn to be an aircraft mechanic.
Okay, I was brought up under a depressed economy. Naturally, the big depression that had started in 1929 or so lasted right up through to the World War II era. Naturally, people did not have much money in those days, and it was difficult financially. Again, educationally, because we were not afforded the educational benefits other than the normal town schools that some of the children or students today would get. My dad was a self-employed person, ran a little mama and papa gas station, and I had to work there. Started to work there as a kid, 12, 14, 15 years old, to help him out so that he could have some money and support the family.
Every veteran aspired to go to school, obviously, because most of them, like myself, could not have afforded to go to school, been able to afford going to school if it hadn't been for the GI Bill. I'd say that in general, it was probably one of the smartest things the federal government has ever done, because obviously we have a much, because of that, we have a much larger amount of educated individuals in the country. And let's face it, it reminds me of the bumper sticker. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. You know, and this brought it all out. Now, everybody didn't take advantage of the GI Bill, obviously. A lot of fellows went to work for the post office and jobs like that without going on. But overall, I would say it was probably one of the best things that happened in this country. even though it took a war to bring it on.
Feel
Well, it made me feel great because of the fact that I knew what we had struggled to go through prior to the war. Now coming back, tuitions had accelerated greatly. The economy had improved strictly because of the war, but still, being a veteran, not having any job stability, not having any savings or any of the amenities that a person would like to have going back to school, we appreciated it. Remember, 65 bucks a month went a long way, but we had to work on the side to supplement that type of income. But it gave us the benefit of getting an education. And not only that, but they also gave us, while we were out of school, a benefit called a 5220 Club. That meant for 52 weeks we were entitled to $20 a week, like an unemployment compensation type of thing. When we went into college, you're a 17 or an 18 or 19-year-old young man. You're not mature. Let's face it. You come back from the war and you are mature. You're looking more deeply into your studies. You're getting more out of your studies because you know that this is your life. This is your future. If we use the same standards like when we were kids, as opposed to being mature people, and I'll consider myself very mature worldly, maybe not scholastically, but worldly when we came back. Example, I was 21, 22 I guess it was, and I was one of the younger veterans. But you imagine veterans going up into the age of 28, 30, 35, taking advantage of the GI Bill, as opposed to the younger students, the freshmen and sophomores. What was the intermix? There wasn't that much, because they were youngsters. We were mature old men.
If the government had not offered me the opportunity to go to school, I don't believe that I would have gone to college. However, the fee of the college tuition in latter part of 1940 and on was very low. I think PC was $400 a year, but I still wouldn't have gone because I didn't have a job and I didn't have any money. So the opportunity, having been offered to me by the government, opened up an avenue that I could take advantage of. And I owe them a gratitude, because without that, I would have never been able to get an education.
Businessmen, farmers, that wanted to expand and that was going to go under, use the GI Bill, which they possibly wouldn't have if the GI Bill wasn't in existence. And a lot of them were ready to lose everything they had. And this gave them hope and put them back on their feet again. I think it was a good thing, I really do. I think it was a good thing. Because a lot of people just didn't have the money, you know, and a lot of people were scared. Of course, years ago now, I had a chance to buy a beautiful home in West Roxbury for a two-family house for $8,000. Well, that was in 1945. Well, if you talk to anybody that you were going to build a house, buy a house for $8,000, they thought you were crazy. You can't afford it and everything, you know. It was so high. But the GI Bill would let you buy it. You could step right in and buy it then. Which, it was very good.
The results of the GI Bill were astounding. Not even President Roosevelt thought that it would be the success that it was. However, the bill was not perfect. Though it helped millions of vets elevate their status in life, segregation in the South caused African American veterans to be left behind. It took 20 more years to eliminate this separation. Overall, though, the bill was superb. Doctors, lawyers, electricians, teachers, vets pursued all these careers and more. They paved the way for their children, grandchildren. They created the modern middle class and made America the greatest nation on earth. And they did it with the help of the GI Bill. I'm John Corteau. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think that it afforded the veterans and consequently the students that came after the veterans a greater opportunity in life, making not only America greater and stronger, more productive, more intelligent in the way they handle things. It changed a lot of the law structures, it changed a lot of the social as well as the economic factors that go along making this country so great. Nothing like the US of A. I know I've been all over the world and there's nothing like it.